So I want to talk about grief today, because at some point in our lives, grief will likely be a part of it. So grief is caused by loss, maybe someone or even something. And with that comes a deep heartache and heaviness. It's probably the most intense sadness we could ever feel in our lives. It might be long and prolonged, or it might even come in waves. And maybe it catches you off guard, or you're going about your day and suddenly something reminds you about what you've lost and it hits you again. And that is the feeling of grief. And most people in that moment that feeling hits don't really know what to do with it, because we haven't really been shown how to deal with this sadness or loss, especially sadness stemming from grief. So often to cope, what we try to do is we try to move away from it. We try to distract ourselves, we try to keep busy, we try to tell ourselves to be strong, or try to just get on with it. We may even get sucked down into a spiral of depression. Or sometimes we judge it, we judge ourselves. Why am I feeling this way? I should be over this by now. Or this is too much. And without realizing it, we turn grief into something we're fighting against. But what if that sadness is not something that needs to be pushed away? What if it's something that's actually completely natural? Because sadness isn't the problem. No, it's the feeling that I don't want to be sad that makes it more unbearable. And that's really the difference here. Grief itself is painful, but the resistance to grief is what makes it overwhelming. Because now you're not just feeling sad, you're in conflict with the sad. You're experiencing something while also telling yourself you shouldn't be experiencing it. And that creates more suffering. So what is actually happening when grief arises? There's usually a feeling. It might sit in your chest, maybe in your throat, maybe it's heavy or empty or tight. And alongside that feeling, the mind starts thinking or speaking. This shouldn't be happening. I can't handle this. I just need this to go away. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And that's where the suffering increases, because the mind is trying to control something that is not meant to be controlled. Really, grief is not something we fix. It's something normal to feel. But the mind doesn't like that. It wants to feel good again. It wants resolution to the sadness. It wants to feel okay again as quickly as possible. So that you can't have the feeling. Sometimes it suppresses it, and then you hold it in your body. And you try to avoid letting it surface any way that you can. So overall, what we want to do is we want to try to minimize how much our mind tries to control our grief. Because all of those ways our mind tries to do that is moving away from the direct experience of the grief we have. And when we do that, the grief doesn't go anywhere, because we can't just avoid it. It just stays there. And often it waits. And it waits until there's space for it to be felt. Often waits till it's quiet to come up again. And if we don't, it will force its way through at the most inopportune times as well. So what might happen, instead of resisting it, we allow it. So we don't analyze it, we don't fix it, we just allow it to be there. If sadness comes up, what if we didn't turn away, and what if we just stayed with it? Let that pain be there, even for a few moments. Just feeling what's there without needing to add a story to it, without needing to change it. At first, that can feel quite unfamiliar and uncomfortable, because you're not used to being with an emotion in that way. But after a while, something will shift. And while there's still sadness, there may just be less struggle, less of that internal fight. And in that space, grief begins to move from our body. It means move through our body and letting go of the grief. And that happens naturally and without force. But grief itself is not just about loss and pain, though. It's actually about love and deep care, because you can't grieve something you don't care about. You can't feel the depth of sadness without there first being a depth of connection or love. So when you feel grief, what you're really feeling is love, still present. And when we grieve the sadness, the love still remains. The person or thing might be gone, and the situation might have changed, but the love itself hasn't disappeared. It's still here within you. And understanding this has the capacity to change how we relate to our grief. Because now, instead of seeing it as something purely painful, we can begin to recognize it's pointing to our capacity to care and to love deeply. And that love doesn't end just because something has been lost or taken away. In a way, grief really is love continuing, just in a different form. And when you allow that, And when you don't shut it down, there can even be something even beautiful within grief at times. Not in a way that takes away the pain, but in a way that gives it meaning, that softens it and allows it to exist without overwhelming you. So if you're experiencing grief, or if it comes in moments, you might want to try this when the feeling arises. The first thing is pause and just notice the feeling and the urge to move away from it. Notice the thoughts that come in. And instead of following them, gently come back to the feeling itself. Where is it in your body? What does it actually feel like without the story? And just let it be there. You don't need to deny anything or do anything with it. You don't need to understand it. You don't need to make it go away. Just let it exist and remind yourself that there's nothing wrong with this feeling, that this is normal when you lose a loved one or someone loved, that you still do love. This is the opposite side to caring, and this is part of being human. And over time, as you stop resisting, the grief changes and it just softens within, becomes less sharp and less consuming. And what remains is not just the absence of pain, but a sense of love that really hasn't gone anywhere. So don't rush it, don't push it away, don't try to be just beyond it, just be with it. Because grief is not here to harm you. It's there to help remove pain from your body. It's there to show you how deeply you have loved. And that love is still here right now.